Hi everyone, welcome to the Influence Interview Series. My name is Kate Motaung, and I am here with my friend and co-author Shannon Popkin. Hi Shannon.
Hi Kate, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, it's good to be together.
Thanks for being here. So in this series, I am interviewing a number of different Christian authors, speakers, and influencers about themes from this book that Shannon and I co-authored called Influence, Building a Platform that Elevates Jesus, Not Me. And we are now on chapter 7 in our discussion. If you would like to listen to other videos and interviews from this series, you can go to 5minutefriday.com/influence series. So I hope you enjoy these interviews. And as I mentioned, we're on chapter 7, which is on the topic of comparison. And Shannon, I know that you have a lot to say about this because you're working on a book about the topic of comparison, and you've contributed some really helpful insights into this chapter.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, it's a big issue for everyone I know, at least. It's huge. What would you say are the two ways that people tend to compare themselves with other people?
Well, we tend to either look at someone else who seems superior to us and feel inferior and compare and feel like, oh, I don't measure up to them. Like, I don't really have anything to say that's even remotely as eloquent as they have said. Or we can look at someone and like compare down, and we feel like we're superior, and then we use that to like bolster our confidence. Well, at least I'm not as lame as that person or whatever. And you know what, either way, it's sinful, right? We're again trying to elevate ourselves and lift ourselves up, which is exactly the opposite of our goal for this book. The book is building a platform, or influence, building a platform that elevates Jesus, not me. And so when we're comparing, I can't make a case that we're never supposed to compare. I don't find that in the Bible. I can't find a command to do not compare with others. I don't even think it's possible. Like, if another author is winning awards and I'm not, I don't know how I can not compare. But here's what I can do instead. I can refrain from using comparison as a way to measure myself. I'm just different. I'm different than her. I have a different platform. God has given me a different calling. And so when I'm using that comparison to either feel superior or like self-loathe and feel inferior, either way, that's a sign to me that no, I need to take a step back and remind myself, like, you know what, God has given me a unique calling. I'm not like everybody else, and it's intended to be that way.
That's right. Yeah, that's so helpful. Yeah, and in the book, you share a story about a time when you caught yourself comparing with one of your peers around the time of your book release.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that experience and what you learned from it?
Yes. So I was new, like first book release, and I hadn't really looked into everything that would be with Amazon. I was like clueless. I know Kate, like you had it all, like you knew exactly what to expect. I did not. And so, my husband though would like go out and check how my book was ranking on the Amazon, like ranking score. And I don't think anybody really understands how that all works. But anyway, he would call me and say, "Ooh, you're up to like number 15,000, whatever." And how weird that we would be celebrating over 15,602, but I would be like, "Ooh, it's up," And so at one point I said to him, "Hey, check how this other author is doing. Like, let's call her Julie. Let's see." I said, check, her name is Julie Smith. Like, look at her book, because her book came out right about the same time as mine. And so he checked and he's like, "Oh, yours is a little higher than hers." And, or her. And so I started checking, like I would, I blame it on him. Like he showed me how to compare that. But I got in this habit on almost a daily basis of checking Amazon, like how is my book faring? And then how is Julie's doing? And so sometimes hers was a little bit above mine, or sometimes mine was a little bit below her, and my feelings, like I would either feel elated or deflated based on how my book was comparing to hers. And I recognized, like, oh my word, this is ridiculous. Like, I could almost feel my stomach like tightening up when I would open the Amazon site to like look at how it was doing. Like, you know what, that is not what God has called me to. He does not invite me to compare myself and find my worth or find my effectiveness based on some number that really means nothing as far as spiritual fruit. And so had to stop doing that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing so honestly and openly, because I'm sure many of us will admit to having done similar things, if not the same thing, and yet we might pretend that we've never done that before, but I can relate to that. What do you think are some of the dangers that come alongside with comparison when we compare ourselves with others? What often results in a negative way from that?
Well, I think isolation is a really key outcome of comparison. So either we feel superior to others or we feel inferior, but either way we pull away. You know what? I'm so sorry. I'm going to let my dog.
No problem.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead. He's whining and he's not going to stop. So I'm sorry. We're totally not looking very professional, are we, Kate? But it's okay. You can compare yourself. No, don't. No. So anyway, we compare and then, either feel inferior or superior. And either way, we pull away from the other person.
Yeah.
We like, either I'm like, oh, I don't even want to know what she's doing, because I feel so insecure when I see her successes, or when I feel like, oh, I'm so superior to her. Well, I pull away, like, well, I can't, be seen or be whatever with that person. And that is so the opposite of what God calls us to. The Church of Jesus Christ is completely diverse. We are all different. Like, that's the point of the body imagery, right? And we need each other. And like, Jesus calls us to come and be part of a community where you have something that I don't have. We're completely different. I have something you don't have. We're completely different. And that is celebrated. Like, that's what pulls us into unity based on these differences, not feel like pulling away. And so I think that just recognizing that we are different by God's design. We have different gifts and different callings. And so we need to pull in and celebrate each other and champion each other and encourage each other, and look at, like, you know what, she's doing that. And so obviously God has not called me to that particular job right now. She was asked to speak at that retreat, or she's writing this book, and obviously this is something that God is not calling me to, since he called her to that. So I'm going to take a step back and not compare myself with her, but just reevaluate my own calling and encourage her and champion her on her way.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. So some people might think the solution to comparison is just to stop doing it, right? Just stop comparing altogether. But in this chapter of influence, you also share another recommendation for a way to, yes, stop comparing, but also replace it with another behavior. Can you share a little bit about that too?
Yes. Yeah. And so, like I said earlier, I don't really find that command in the Bible, like just stop comparing. And as Jesus interacted with people who were comparing, that's my new book that I'm writing. I'm looking at different instances where Jesus was talking with or teaching people who were comparing. They were struggling with comparison in the same way. And not once do I find him saying, just stop it, just cut it out, just stop comparing. Instead, I find him saying, you know what, you're looking at it upside down. This whole status thing, you're trying to gather status for yourself. In my kingdom, things are upside down. They're flipped upside down. And so Jesus says, in his kingdom, the last will be first. The greatest among us is the servant of all, and greatness comes from humbling ourselves and lifting others up. And so I think what we replace that attitude of comparing and trying to lift ourselves up with is humility and lifting others up. Philippians 2 says that we should consider others more important than ourselves, like lift up their concerns, their needs, and defer to their preferences over our own. And this is what creates that unity that I was talking about, where we're collaborating, we're all pulling in, and we all need each other.
Right. Yeah, that's great. And I can testify, I've seen that happen in my own writing life and interacting with others on social media when, when I am doing it for the wrong motives to try to promote myself. Often I don't get much of a response because I'm sure it comes across as very prideful and self-promoting. And yet when I have taken the opportunity to encourage other people online and share what they've accomplished and cheer them on, I've seen unexpected benefits. That wasn't my original intention, that, oh, I'll share this so that maybe one day they'll do something in return for me. But I found that by building other people up, they often want to reciprocate in some way and to serve back, if they see that you've served them as well. So I think the whole posture is one that's just really helpful, as you said, to elevate the body as a whole and to encourage one another and build each other up, as that verse in scripture says.
Yeah, and also not just serving other writers and speakers, but approaching our audiences, wanting to serve them and lift them up. Like this, one instance I can think of where, if I'm just all about building up my stats, I might shy away from a topic that my audience doesn't really want to hear. God is leading me to write about something that is in our intolerant age, like my audience is not going to love it, but maybe it's really what they do need to hear. And so I'm serving them and I'm laying down, I'm dying to self. I know that this is maybe going to get some backlash or it's not going to be well received, but I just feel called to do it. You know what? Serving and lifting others up is putting myself behind what they need and serving them in that way. And so I think just that humility of I'm going to just die to myself. I'm going to lower myself. I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable position to share whatever it is that God has asked me to share, with the goal, not of serving myself, but of serving others and ultimately serving God.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you so much. Where can people learn more about this book?
It is called Influence, Building a Platform That Elevates Jesus, Not Me. And you can find it on Amazon. And then both Kate, you and I both have a page devoted to the book on our website. So I think katemotaung.com/influence. Is that right?
It's actually on the 5 Minute Friday site. So 5minutefriday.com, that's okay. I should probably put a page on the other site as well.
Yeah, no, sorry.
You're fine. And then yours is at?
Yep, shannonpopkin.com/influence. So
Great.
yeah, I hope that you'll come and see. We have lots of different freebies and extra resources available for you. So come check them out.
Yes, thank you. So if anyone listening has struggled with comparison, whether you're comparing up or comparing down, and you're wondering how this relates to platform building and how you can do it in a way that honors the Lord, we encourage you to pick up a copy of Influence. And again, if you're interested, go ahead.
Let me just interject. Read the book with a friend. If you're struggling with comparing, I can't think of a better way to get rid of those negative thoughts and feelings than come together in a group and talk and have an honest conversation about it and encourage each other. Wouldn't that be great? So yeah, get a little group of writers together or speakers and work through the book together.
That's great advice. And we've included group discussion questions at the end of the book. So it's already built in there for you. You don't even have to buy an extra resource. It's all in the book. So if you want to take advantage of that, I think it would be a great conversation that will hopefully build up and edify you and those that you are in the group with. So, and again, if you'd like to listen to more conversations in this Influence series, we've got 12 interviews. This is chapter 7, and you can find those interviews at 5minutefriday.com/influence series. I hope you'll check it out. Bye.
Thank you.